When you move to a foreign country, you will inevitably find that it is hard to find some products that you have grown accustomed to using. And that's been the case for me. In this video, I'm going to talk about 12 products that I struggled to find here in France. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new here, welcome. And if you enjoy content about life in France or moving abroad or finding the confidence and courage to live life on your terms, then do subscribe to my channel. I'm Patricia Brooks, and in 2018, I found the confidence and courage to leave my job, leave the United States, and move to the south of France. And it's been an incredible experience filled with ups and downs. And one of those downs is trying to find products that I love or that I need for a particular recipe and not being able to find it. It can be very frustrating. So I'm going to share with you 12 items that I struggle to find and how I've managed to deal with that. And the first one is prunes. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, I had a taste for dried plums, and I went to 3 stores to find a bag of prunes. And in that third store, Carrefour, I found an 8-ounce bag of prunes that was close to €5. And I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw the price tag. And I thought to myself, oh, Patricia, do you get them or do you just leave them on the shelf? Because that's a little bit high. I decided to get them because I wanted them. So this is the bag of prunes I got, Pruneaux d'Agen. And what I learned in researching this video was that Agen is a region in France that is known for its prunes. And so these prunes are special. They're supposed to be especially good. And so perhaps that's another reason for the price tag. But I was happy when I found my prunes. So another item that I was looking for back in the wintertime was chili powder. I wanted to make some chili. I'd been to the United States in November. I'd stocked up on a couple of cans of black beans that I can't find here either. And that's another video I did about my US haul. And I'll put a link to that up here if you want to check that out. But so I had my black beans. I had all of the other ingredients, but I didn't have any chili powder. And chili powder is not a spice that is easily found on spice racks in grocery stores here in France. So I thought, oh, what am I going to do? I really want this chili. I went to Google and I searched chili powder substitute. And up came a lot of different recipes. I found one where I used paprika, cumin, and cayenne in the right proportions. I put it in my chili and the chili was delicious. So what that taught me was that sometimes something that can be frustrating can have a happy ending because it allows you to be more creative and make something from scratch. All right. Another thing that I wanted to make over the winter were buttermilk pancakes. And for that, I needed buttermilk, but I couldn't find any buttermilk here in France. Went back to Google and found how to make buttermilk. Milk, some lemon juice, and it worked. So my pancakes were good. My chili was good. I was happy this winter. Now, another item that is related to food that I was looking for and had a bit of a harder time, I wouldn't say it was impossible, finding was a lunchbox. Recently, I've had some food sensitivities. And so for my recent trip to Normandy, I decided that I was going to just pack my food so that I'd have things to eat on my trip. And I looked online. I saw some lunchboxes, but I really wasn't jazzed with those and decided to go to Les Clairs. There's a Les Clairs not too far from my village. And I went there. It's a smaller one. And I couldn't find lunchboxes. And so I asked the clerk who was working there for a lunchbox. Now, she looked at me like she didn't know what I was talking about. And perhaps it was because the term that I used for a lunchbox, which was something I found on the internet, maybe is not a popularly used term, or maybe just lunchboxes aren't that popular of an item. But I said to her, "Je cherche un sac à repas." And she just kind of looked at me like, huh? And then I described what I was looking for. She's like, oh, it's over here. And she showed me to these 2 shelves that had lunch boxes on them. And was not a big selection, but I found one. It was kind of small, but I thought, at least you'll have something. So about a week later, I still had some time before my trip. A week later, I went to Perpignan, and there they have a bigger Leclerc. And I went in there, and there I found a lunchbox, a nice lunchbox that's kind of like a backpack, and it's really big and holds a lot of food. And I've been really happy with that. So they exist here, but I don't know how often people use lunchboxes here in France. And it might have been easier also for me to find this if it were back to school time. So that might have had something to do with it. But anyway, I got my lunchbox or boxes, and I'm happy with that as well. Now, around food, a couple of years ago, I had this desire to have a Thanksgiving dinner, and I wanted a whole turkey. And that posed a challenge too. I'm not going to delve into the particulars of it because, again, I did a video on that and you can check that out up here. But I could not find cranberry sauce. And of course, I couldn't find stuffing. So for the cranberry sauce, I thought, well, if I could just find dried cranberries, I could reconstitute them, figure out how to make a sauce out of that. But I could not find dried cranberries either. So I decided that I was going to make a substitute for that. I made a fig chutney, and that was good, but it really didn't have the consistency of cranberry sauce. And there was another recipe I found for like a blueberry sauce, and the blueberry sauce was pretty good, and it went well with the turkey. So if I run into that problem again, I will definitely use that. However, I will say recently, like in the last 2 or 3 weeks, I've seen dried cranberries everywhere here in France. So I'm not sure if it's the time of the year or it's just popular now. But a couple of years ago, I couldn't find them anywhere. Those are food items. What food items do you think you will miss or have missed living abroad or spending any length of time abroad? Let me know in the comments. Now I want to move on to cleaning products and health and beauty. So this spring, I was doing a major spring cleaning job, and I wanted to clean my mattress, and I also wanted to kind of get a solution for my plants that would keep the gnat population down. And so for that, I needed 2 items, 2 ingredients. One of them was hydrogen peroxide. Now in the pharmacy, you can get a big bottle like this of hydrogen peroxide for a couple of dollars, right? And you can find them in different strengths, 3%, 10%. Here, I was able to find hydrogen peroxide pretty easily in the supermarket. However, the bottle was not very big, and there was just one solution percentage, and that was this one. Now, you can see how small this is compared to what you might find in the United States. It works, it's effective, but in lieu of buying just one bottle, I had to buy 3 bottles. And this was a little bit pricier than what I would pay in the United States. Again, if you're looking for something that maybe not so usual here in France, you're probably going to pay a little bit more. And I am getting used to that idea. So I found my hydrogen peroxide, and I also needed baking soda. In the United States, baking soda is used for so many different things. They have marketed it very well. So I think of Arm & Hammer baking soda and opening a box of it and just putting it in your refrigerator to absorb the odors. Also think about putting some of it down your kitchen sink to absorb odors. You can brush your teeth. There are lots of things you can use baking soda for. And so it's pretty ubiquitous in the United States. You can find it anywhere. But here in France, I struggled to find that. I had to ask again. I went to the grocery store and had to ask for where would I find this? And she pointed me to the right area, the right aisle. And this is what I got. Now, it's a fairly big box of baking soda. And it's exactly what I needed. And so I was happy. But again, this too was a little bit more expensive than I'm used to paying for baking soda. But I got it. Right? I'm a happy camper because I got it. Recently, my food sensitivities have resulted in me breaking out in hives. And I don't know if you've ever had hives, but if you haven't, they are red welts, and they're very itchy. And so I went to the pharmacy to find something I could put on my skin, on the hives, that would reduce how itchy they were. The pharmacy tech went in the back, pulled out, some cream, said, oh, here, this will work. This is anti-grattage. So I bought it. I said, okay, I'll try it. Went home, put it on, and it was not effective. I was still uncomfortable. So a couple days later, I decided to go back to the pharmacy because I remembered when I was little that when I had lots of bug bites or when I had hives, so I had them back then too, my mom would get out the big bottle of calamine lotion, it's pink lotion, and she'd slather it all over my bug bites or the hives, and instantly it soothed it. It was cooling and it stopped the itch. It was very effective. And so that's what I had in mind to get. And so I went and I asked, I said, well, do you have calamine lotion? And they said, well, we might be able to order it. So she went to the computer, she looked it up, and she asked me, is this what you're looking for? It said gel de calamine. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I would call it a gel, but maybe that's it. She says, well, I don't have it in stock, but I can order it for you. Do you want me to order it? And I'm like, well, how much is it? And she's like, oh, it's a little more than 13 euros, so almost 14 euros. And I said, well, yeah, I want it because I know that if it's what I'm thinking it is, it's going to work. And so she ordered it the next day. I went back, went in to pick it up. And this is what I got. You see it, gel de calamine, exactly what I was used to when I was little. However, the tube is a little bit smaller than I was hoping for. But I have it and it works. And I think that's the theme here, that you might not be able to find everything that you want. And if you can't, you might be able to substitute. And if you can find it, you might be paying a premium for it. But if it's something that you want and it's effective and it's what you're looking for, then you gotta suck it up. So those are health and beauty. Oh, the last health and beauty item has to do with my cosmetics. Now, I think I shared with you in another video that I love Mary Kay. I've been using Mary Kay cosmetics and their skincare routine since 1992. And I was a little bit disappointed that I wasn't able to buy Mary Kay here in France because there are no consultants. But I found out that they do have consultants in Spain. And so I do have a Spanish Mary Kay consultant who supplies me with everything I need. And this spring, I took a friend who was not familiar with Mary Kay to have a facial in Spain with my consultant. And it was a great experience. She loved the product. She bought a set. I replenished what I needed. And we also wanted to have foundation and concealer. The problem was that the Mary Kay in Spain, the foundations don't go up to a dark enough skin tone for me or my friend. And so that is something else that I can't get here, is my foundation in Mary Kay here. Now, the solution to that is when I go back, I can stock up, or if I ever have friends coming from the United States, I can ask them to pick up a couple of tubes. Or if I'm in a pinch, I can just go to a parapharmacy or a beauty store and pick up foundation that is not the Mary Kay brand, right? That's a solution as well that would work in a pinch. So now finally, I want to round this out with office supplies or stationery supplies. My brother is having a wedding anniversary in another week, and I wanted to send him an anniversary card. And so I went to the store and I looked, and there were a ton of greeting cards, but most of them were birthday cards. You don't see a lot of different occasion cards here. And so I was looking for wedding anniversary cards and I couldn't find one. So what I wound up doing was buying a blank card with a pretty cover and writing happy anniversary on the inside. And it works. But in the United States, you can find a greeting card for no matter what occasion, right? So the selection of greeting cards here is more limited. So another thing that I find it challenging to find here in France at office supply stores or any stores are pencils that have erasers on them. Typically, you'll find pencils like this. Sometimes you'll find pencils that do have erasers on the end, but those erasers typically aren't the best. And when you use them, you might find that it doesn't do a very good job. And so I looked for erasers that you put on the tip of the pencil, the end of the pencil, when you run out of the original eraser. And I had a really hard time finding them. And I had to go online and I found them, and I got a box of maybe 18 of them, and they were a little bit more expensive than I had expected to. But this is what I'm talking about. These erasers you put on the end of the pencil top. It goes like this. And it's great. And the thing with that is you've got your eraser and pencil all in one. And when you make a mistake, you just turn it over and you erase. All right? Here, what I found in France is they have erasers, but they're standalone erasers. And like this. And these are wonderful. They work well. They work the same as the erasers that I like to put on the ends of the pencil. Problem with these is, for me anyway, is when I make a mistake, I don't want to have to go looking for an eraser that could be anywhere, right? You have something that's not connected to your writing utensil. Chances are you're going to have a hard time finding it, at least for me. So that's my pet peeve with that. So, and then finally, as a writer, I need notebooks because I like to write longhand. And one of the things that is different here in France is that the notebooks here are typically grid style, almost like graph paper. And that's not anything I ever learned how to use, right? How to write on. And it's not what I feel most comfortable writing with. And so finding notebooks, spiral bound notebooks that are ruled, that have lines on them that just go across, is something that is more challenging. You can find them here. And what I found typically are notebooks that aren't spiral bound. They're more glued, and you open them up and then you have the lines, and that's great. And I found some really nice ones, but they're not so easy for me to use when I'm writing a book, right? They don't lie flat. It's just not that useful to me. And so when I first got here, I found the store Flying Tiger. And Flying Tiger is a Scandinavian store that has lots of little things. It's got party supplies, and it has cups and art supplies. And it's not very expensive. €1, €2, €3, €5, right? And I found these notebooks there. And these notebooks are lined. You see the lines. And they're spiral bound, so they lie flat when I use them. And it's incredible that I found this store that has exactly what I need. Problem is, the store is in Perpignan. So in the spring, when I had these high hopes of writing my third book, I went online, found Flying Tiger online, and I ordered 10 notebooks that I haven't used yet, but I have started my writing practice in earnest and will have my third manuscript written by the end of this year. Mark my words, hold me to it. I'm stating this publicly so that I have to get it done. So that is the final thing that I have found it hard to find, but now I know exactly where to go. And I think sometimes that is the trick, finding a place where you can find the thing that you're looking for, or finding substitutes, or finding ways around that allow you to have the things that you need, like for recipes, and the things that you enjoy having. And it's with that I want to leave you, that moving abroad is challenging in a lot of different areas, with the administration, with the things that you miss from home, with family and friends that you might be missing from back home, with the cultural differences. There's so many adjustments that you have to make when you make a move as big as this. And it's not always easy. Shifting your mindset and your habits and your ideas and your attitudes is not easy, especially when you're a little bit older. So one of the things that I love about the program that I have is that it helps women who want to make a move abroad and want to settle in and feel more at peace with the challenges they might face, do that. And so my program helps with mindset. It helps with planning a move abroad. It helps with feeling supported and encouraged by other like-minded women. And if that sounds like something that is of interest to you, I'd love to have a conversation to see where you want to move and what things you find most challenging, and if working with me could help you get there sooner and with more ease. So I'm going to put a link to my calendar in the description where you can find a time for us to talk, and I look forward to that. Now, that is all I have for you today. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with friends, subscribe, and I will see you again next time. Bye for now.